Now, marches have begun to shut down a number of ports, including the Port of Oakland. On your right side of your screen, live pictures from Chopper 5 of protesters who have gone the mile and a half now. They're now at the Port of Oakland. Occupy protesters met early this morning. They left the West Oakland BART station about a half an hour ago and are now at the port. A number of streets have been shut down in the area as well.
And of course, this is part of a larger movement that is happening up and down the West Coast, all the way up to Vancouver, down to Los Angeles. On the left side of the screen, we are waiting for Oakland Mayor Jean Quan, as well as the acting police chief Howard Jordan, to address the situation. They were supposed to speak at 6:30. We are awaiting their report coming up. In the meantime, I want to check in with Unser Hassan, who is on the ground at the port, to tell us what is happening there right now. Unser.
Good morning, Grace. Well, where we're at right now, there's no protesters to be seen yet, but we know that they're on their way. I have seen some Oakland police patrolling the area, but otherwise there's no extra security. Looks like business as usual this Monday morning. You can see these trucks are lined up waiting to unload their cargo at the various terminals. So the big question this morning is why they're targeting the ports. Well, Occupy protesters say these shipping companies are raking in billions in profits while the working conditions continue to get worse and employee benefit rights are being eroded. Of particular interest this morning is the SSA terminal where we were at live. SSA is partially owned by Goldman Sachs, the investment bank that received billions in bailout money. But in talking with many of the unions and some of the employees, they say, look, we're part of the 99% and we're the ones who are being hurt. But we spoke to some protesters this morning. They're firing back by saying, if there's going to be change, everybody has to make sacrifices.
A lot of people are already hurt by the mortgage crisis, by the crimes of the banks, by the wars. And we need to take control of our country back. And in that process, there will be sacrifices. Some of the sacrifices will be decided by the people who make the sacrifice, and some will be by others, and we're sad about that.
Now, the big unions voted against supporting this morning's blockade, but they will not stop any individual members from joining in. Now, again, we are live here at the Port of Oakland, at the terminal, SSA terminal here at the Port of Oakland, waiting for protesters to make their way down. We'll bring you the very latest pictures as they head down this way. Frank, Grace, back to you.
You know, Unser, we're looking at some live pictures from Chopper 5. It looks like they're very, very close. Have you had any sight of these protesters? And how deep into the port are you? Where are you located?
So we are about in the 1700 block of Middle Harbor Road, which is the main stretch here. It's tough to see because you can see these trucks are blocking the road view. So it's hard for me to see from the vantage point where I'm standing just where the protesters are. But I can hear the choppers up above. And like I said, I have seen more police patrolling the area. So I'm expecting them anytime.
Okay, Unser Hassan, he's live at the Port of Oakland waiting for those protesters to come on down.
Well, that's where the protesters are ending up. Of course, they all began about a mile and a half away at the West Oakland BART station.
Gil Diaz is in Oakland now, speaking with some of those protesters early this morning. They're all gone now, but he joins us with more from, I guess, the starting line, for lack of a better word. Gil, good morning.
Yeah, this is the starting line, Frank and Grace. And yeah, even though it's a little quieter here at the West Oakland BART station, there's still a lot of protesters arriving late. And the organizers of this march seem to be very prepared because those latecomers are being then put on those buses. There's one bus right there on 7th Street, and they're busing them directly to the port. A few minutes ago, there was probably 6 buses along 7th Street, but there's one left standing. So they are very prepared this morning. But yeah, it was a big turnout. They weren't quite sure how many would turn out, but take a look. A lot of them showed up. When we arrived here at the station around 4:30, there's probably 50 of them, but it ballooned to hundreds of them. And as you can see on Chopper 5 all through this morning, you see there are hundreds, I would say more than 500, and there are more of them showing up, especially now they're being bussed. Now, many of them are holding picket signs supporting the Longshore Union. The Longshore Union is in a labor dispute in Washington State right now. But some are here holding other picket signs, and they're here for other reasons. For example, one wanted more access to education. One college student was holding her sign that said, "Please lower my college tuition." Now, not all the protesters are from the Bay Area. It turns out a lot of them came from far and wide to be here this morning. Some coming from Humboldt, Shasta County. One came all the way from Southern Oregon, and we asked her why she wanted to be here today.
it's important for everyone to take part in this. It's important for everyone to stand up and be heard and just be part of the change that is coming. And we are here to be part of it.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Now, even though we are expecting to hear from Mayor Jean Quan this morning at a press conference, she did have an open letter to the protesters. She wrote, "The Port of Oakland is not the home of the 1%. Rather, it generates over 73,000 jobs in the region and is connected to more than 800,000 jobs across the country." And just to let you know, the union leader also has told us that the union has not voted to support the march. Back to you.
In the meantime, we are waiting for the mayor to come out and speak any minute now. Thanks, Gil.
And also,